Hello, welcome. It's been a little minute. Your girl had to take a time out, okay? But welcome to the clock out. I'm super excited to see you all. Today we are talking about business growth, specifically how your girl went from over $10,000. It's probably I didn't go back and do the math, okay? It's probably more than that. Over $10,000 of business debt into a profitable business. So welcome in, Desirable. How are you? Welcome into the live. If my friends are on LinkedIn and YouTube, hello to you as well. I'm super excited that you're here. I have lots of fun, exciting things to talk to you about growing your business, things that work for me, things that really helped me get clear about what I needed to move forward with, how I needed to move in my business, and things like that. And again, really going from a place where I was, business was underperforming, struggle bus, all the business debt, no revenue, all of those things. Hey, welcome in, Queen, Hani. Oh, okay. Hey, Melissa. Welcome into you all. I'm really excited to see you all here today. So if you're new here, my name is Mercedes Swan. I am the Career Love Coach. I come from a human resources and diversity, equity, inclusion background, and now I'm working full-time in my business as a career coach as of January 1. So I'm super excited to just be on this journey with you all and really share all of the things that I've learned over the course of my career and growing this business and things like that. So I do career content. I also do business content, newly doing business content because I feel like, hey, I've reached this level where I feel like I can share some of the knowledge and the things that I've learned. But today we are doing business stuff. Tomorrow we are doing career stuff. Hey, CJ. Hey, welcome in, y'all. But yeah, today, like I said, today we're doing business stuff. Tomorrow we are doing career stuff. So I kind of switch out. But if you don't know me, I go live weekdays at 6 p.m. to talk about, to talk about all things career and business and the clock out. So my goal in this life and probably beyond is to support Black women in their career growth and development, also as well as their business growth and development, okay? And I take that again from my background and experience in human resources and also building a career coaching business outside of my 9 to 5 to help us grow. And my whole philosophy here is Black Woman Bliss. So helping you to create a career in business that isn't just that. It's something that allows you to grow and to learn and to live your life in alignment and ease and things that are all of the good stuff, right? Just not the work, all of the good purpose-driven, passion-driven things. And so the clock out is our opportunity for us to come together in community with other Black women to clock out of the workplace stress, clock out of all the struggles that we have, and just clock into community and talk about what we've got going on. So if you're here watching this, I would love to know in the comments, one, your likes helps this video, this live, wherever you're watching it. It absolutely helps this to get pushed out to other Black women, for this platform to continue to grow, for me to get more of that information out here. So your likes is greatly appreciated. Also feel welcome to share this with anybody else that you feel like, thank you for the likes. Share this with anybody else you feel like this type of content could help. But I do want to know who we got out there, okay? Who do we got listening in today? So let me know. Are you currently Hey, Nicole. Hey, girl. Hey. Good to see you. But let me know if you are currently working on your business or your career. So just drop one of those in the chat, business, career, or maybe both. We're talking about business right now. Or you can kind of say like, hey, I'm just starting my business, or my business is kind of like a future state. Like maybe I'm going to do that in, 2 years or a year from now, whatever that is. Okay, CJ, we got both. I already know what Nicole's going to say, but that's okay. Hey, Nicole. Okay, so let's dive right in this. As we get started, like I said, this is meant to be a discussion. This is meant to be an opportunity for community. So as soon as I find I've lost the mouse. There it is. Okay. But yeah, so if you have any questions for me as we're going through this live, absolutely drop them in the chat. I would love to answer any questions that you have directly about anything that I've shared, but welcome on in, make yourself at home, get your coffee. Nicole said business. You already knew what Nicole was going to say. Not with the eyes. I'll call you out, Nicole. Love you. Okay. So I always I talk about this a lot. So I always say we always need to start with clarity. And it doesn't mean that clarity just all comes at once. Clarity can definitely come over time as we're building our business, figuring out what we want to do, figuring out what works. But for me specifically, I'm talking about a different type of clarity. So you probably will hear me a lot talk about getting clarity in your career, getting clarity about your business, what you like doing, what you're good at, what the world will pay you for. Just this holistic approach to building your career and your business. Oh, love you too. Look in the cup. Love. Okay. Um, but often I talk about getting clarity on essentially our careers and our businesses and the direction that we're going to go. But in for this one, I'm actually going to talk about clarity about your messaging, right? Clarity about how you're showing up and talking to your people. Not just business clarity. There's plenty of videos out there that I have at this point that are talking about how to get clarity from like your reason for being, your purpose. But one of the things that I was consistently getting wrong is that I just didn't know how to speak to my audience. I wasn't comfortable. I shouldn't even say I wasn't comfortable. Like, of course, in your business, like as you're growing, there are always going to be things that you're just not comfortable with. Like, you don't know how to do that. I'm not talking about that. That's all growth. That's a natural part. I mean, getting clarity in general is a natural part. But what I mean is that really understanding what your audience needs to hear from you. And that's something that I'm figuring out each day. I'm not, I don't go viral every day. I don't always know what I'm going to show up and say on a particular day. Hey, Sabrina, welcome into the live. But I've gotten so much better at it over time. And really, at the beginning of my process and the beginning of my journey, I really thought that just telling people about, hey, here's how to write a resume, hey, here's how to interview, was going to essentially help me like grow this business overnight. I was like, oh, people are going to this is going to make perfect sense. Some of that was naivety. Like, I did not know truly how many career coaches were out there. I had done some searches and I couldn't find any like on Google like easily. Come to find out, of course, that was just differences in marketing, right? I got on TikTok and I found them all. I couldn't find them on Facebook either. Like, they're all on LinkedIn and TikTok doing amazing things. There was a subset of people that I could find. But all of them and their approach and what they were working on really went at it from this like job search hack like standpoint. And one thing about me, you all know, I hate when there's people out there talking about all of these hacks, all of these special things. Like, oh my gosh, it would drive me crazy when people were talking about to lie on your resume. When people would be talking about like, oh, here's how you like beat the ATS. Like, that stuff drives me insane. So one of the things that I had to do is I was like, okay, I understand that that's not really what I want to market, because being in recruitment and being in HR, like, I don't agree with that, like as an approach to selling my services. And also I just don't think it's effective or helpful to people. And now I'm not here to like call out people, their marketing, their approach, but it wasn't for me. And so because of that, I was then just trying to teach people through like right? Like how to do this. And then when you're competing against people who are like, here are all these easy hacks that are going to get people to do whatever, that doesn't really work. That doesn't really work. They're like, no, this is work. And like the reality is that your job search is work. So if you're listening to this and you're actually a job seeker, this is for you. There is no one hack that is going to automatically, magically get you that offer letter, that job or whatever. That is marketing. Okay, that is career coaching services marketing. That's all I got to say about that. And give me a second because my camera is driving me crazy. I feel like it's dirty. That looks so much better on TikTok. I'm sorry that you had to see that. I was like, why does my camera look that way? It's awful. Sorry. Okay, so what I had to do is I had to figure out like, how do I truly talk to my market? What do they want to hear? And also, you'll hear me, like, you heard that my market changed a lot. So when I first started my business, my market was millennials, right? And that was such a big market that yes, I could talk to some of the general like concerns and challenges. Now, I actually don't think I understood that at the time. Like, a lot of the challenges that I was speaking to millennials about was, oh, you don't know how to write a resume. Oh, you don't know how to scale your career, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we know that. That's not anything that's resonating with us. Like, this is not making me want to talk to you. Maybe had that really been truly the market that I was designed to really meet, I might talk about, like the gap of moving into management, just because people who are older are staying in their careers longer. So there doesn't feel like we have opportunity to move into management. Or maybe I would have talked about how our parents are consistently giving us career advice that doesn't really align with us, right? That's more of the mindset of like how in general millennials feel We also don't feel like the things at work, like the workplace setting that we're in, like really is an effective workplace, right? Like a lot of the, quote unquote, okay, boomer, like things don't really work for us. It's not what we want as millennials in the workplace, right? At the time, I was not as advanced. I wouldn't say I'm advanced, or I'm not like a marketing expert all of a sudden, right? But I didn't understand the messages that the people that I was working with needed to hear. Hey Marie, welcome into the live. So I just didn't know how to communicate those things. And as a result, like none of the things I was putting out there were working, even though they were products that might have helped. They weren't, my audience wasn't hearing it, right? Now there's of course a connection with my audience was never millennials. Like I just didn't know that at the time. It's okay, we all grow. So I went from this process of saying I'm working with millennials to I'm working with Black professionals. And as I went through and was just actually speaking more to Black women about the challenges that we face in the workplace, discrimination, the other word, palm colored supremacy, all of the things that we deal with in the workplace, the microaggressions, the toxic supervisors, the gaslighting, that is what my clients, Black women, want to speak about, right? And so as I began to speak more and more to Black women, it began to become more clear to me what they wanted to talk about, right? And that's such a huge piece of like just understanding like the struggles on a deeper level, not just at a surface of what your potential or current clients are going through in order to make a recommendation or in order to speak to them directly, right? And so I had to figure that out. And I did that by speaking directly with Black women, right? So as I went through this process of working specifically with Black professionals, I ended up finding out that really like who I wanted to speak to and who I was talking to was really Black women. And I didn't know that. So I went from like figuring out like this is how my my brand messaging went. I went from, we just as millennials, we don't really know how HR works, right? We need to know how HR works. That was not that was terrible messaging and branding. Okay, first of all, nobody wants to hear that. And then I went to like how do Black professionals play the game, right? It's not set up fairly for us. We don't have the same resources. We don't have the same access to things. Like this is very much how I switched my branding when I was working with Black professionals. I also switched my branding to more focus on purpose and passion, right? And that was something that was unique to me, right? That's part of my brand story. Like I've always pursued my passion and my purpose in everything that I did. And that's how I talk about why business and career love is important, right? So that was some of my branding. Now, the interesting thing that I know today is that branding appeals to like 90% Black women. Black men just doesn't resonate with them. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just is true, right? So even when I was talking to all Black professionals in that moment, most of my clients, like 90% or more of them were Black women. And so I say all of that to say that like, sometimes when we really are talking about what we love and we're getting clarity on that, more of like the direction of our purpose, sometimes our people are going to find us, and if we talk to them and we get a better understanding of them, they will tell us what we need, right? So the beautiful Black women that work with me, my clients, they told me, they were like point blank, this is what I want to talk about, this is what I need, this is the services, right? Now it took me a while to catch up and understand that. I'm not saying it's an overnight kind of thing, but absolutely, the Black women that I worked with early on were telling me what they needed in their career. And then as I went on, as I did my rebranding in 2022, I got a much better understanding of what Black women needed. And so my messaging got more clear and more clearer and more clearer. I don't know if that's the word. Anyway, more clear is probably the correct grammar for that, I think. The correct terminology. But that's what I'm saying about getting clarity about what your brand story is. Who are you serving? What messages are you sending to them? And what do they need to hear? So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, but I see I see that I have a message in the chat. Okay, yeah. So Nicole said, as I know you can't see this on TikTok, so I'll read it off. But it says, very true. As millennials, we're in a weird space because we were raised by boomers who were loyal to jobs regardless of how they were treated, but also born at the dawn of new technology. Yes, right. And like a lot of like, and that's the thing, right? Like knowing more about branding today makes that message way more clear. Like millennials want to talk about that stuff because the boomers ain't it. Okay, the boomers. Now I wasn't raised by a boomer. Okay, my mom had me younger. She had me at 21. So she's in between. What is it? It's Y. See. Anyway, what is she? Is she Y? No. X. She's Gen X, right? That's after boomers. Anyway, you all know what I'm saying. She's the generation between me and the boomers. And so it was a different dynamic, but still, nonetheless, like still impacted like my experience, right? Where my mom's kind of in that weird middle generation where it's not like total boomer energy, but it's not like the millennials where we're like, listen, we're just trying to exist and we're trying to focus on our mental health. Anyway, all of this different messaging, right? So had I launched that business today with more understanding of branding and how it works, maybe I would have got it. But at the time it was no. And so honestly, what I found out about my platform and specifically about coaching Black women was that we want to talk about the experiences that we have. We actually, it's not even just that we want to talk about it, we need to talk about it because it's healing, right? A lot of times if we're talking to the boomers, right, the older generation as Black women, especially as professionals my age, a lot of times, as Nicole just said, like we are just dealing with it, right? Or excuse me, they just dealt with it. And so they expect us to just deal with it, right? But we're in a different paradigm now. We are actually trying to change the system. We don't want to assimilate to the system or be respectable or approachable to the system. We actually want to make change. We want to create spaces for us to exist and be as ourselves. And that's not something that the older generation did, right? They needed, and I'm not saying, I always want to preface this, right, in the grace and honor for all that generation had to go through to enable us to be where we are, right? I'm just saying that we're shifting in what our expectations are of the workplace and not to undermine like what they did or what they accomplished for us to be where we are, to have the energy that we have today. Okay. But like, anyway, so a lot of times we are not, our concerns, the challenges that we have are not affirmed, right? And so we want somebody else to help affirm. We want other Black women around us to affirm that experience so that we can feel like, we're not gaslit. Hey, Valerie, welcome into the live. But we want to feel seen in that, right? And that is what my audience wants. And my audience also, they do want very specific support with their resume, but they also want to feel understood, that based on the experiences that they have for Black women, they're not just getting an answer that's general. They're getting an answer that also answers them in the context of being a Black woman. And that's really, really important. Hey, Queen's back. Hey. So it's kind of this intersection of that. I also know that a lot of times, because of the way that Black women are treated and the experiences that we have in the workplace, right? We also need kind of that space for the mindset shifts and the building of the confidence that isn't always true in other settings. Like it's similar, right? You always are going to need confidence and clarity to move forward in your job search. But as Black women, just how we're treated in the workplace, we have just different, I guess, workplace trauma or negative experiences and with toxic environments that are a little bit different from everyone else, right? So that's what my platform needs. Okay, I talked about this a lot, but like I just feel like there's nuance into really understanding like a message versus like a product, right? Because a product, I could be selling the same exact resume course, not really the same exact, but I could be selling the same exact resume course to as somebody else who's not serving Black women, and the messaging and how it's sold to a Black woman is going to be very, very different, right? And it's not I don't mean this like in a grimy way, because I feel like some people feel like marketing is manipulative. I don't mean it in a manipulative way. I mean it as in you're speaking to your potential client or whoever needs your services in a way that they need to hear it so that they can take action, right? Because the reality is if they don't take action, right, they are not moving forward in their career, in their job search, whatever service, right? For me, that's career in their job and their job search or their business, right? But in general, like if you aren't telling them what they need to hear in order to move forward, and I don't mean that in a manipulative way, I mean like what they actually need to hear to understand that they need to move forward, they are not going to do it, right? So that's all I'm saying. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat about anything that I shared. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because talking. Okay. While we do that. And as I wait for any questions to come up in the chat, like, well, one, like, let me know now. But if you also have any other questions as we go through, like, let me know. But one of the things that I want to say is if you're on this and you have not joined my Black Woman Bliss Blueprint webinar, I have one more live webinar happening on Wednesday. You can join me for the last live webinar on Wednesday. So if you're on TikTok, you can go to the link in my bio to join. And then also, if you are on YouTube or LinkedIn, there should be a link where you are in the description. You can go ahead and sign up until Wednesday this week, the 12th, to join me live. So I hope to see you there. Last one, I'm so excited. And they've been really great. I've been meaning to do like a little montage of all of the comments that I've gotten as we've gone through, because it's coming. Okay. Oh, I forgot to bring it back to the title, right? So my title was going from 10K in business debt to going into it as like a profitable business, right? And so, like I said, like it is about the messaging. It is about being compelling. It is about having your audience feel heard and seen. And so because of that, they were more likely to trust me. They were more likely to get on a call with me. Whatever I was saying to them resonated with them. And so they were more likely to engage with me in some way other than my content, right? And so that's what ultimately led for me being in a different space, right? So the more specific, the more oddly specific, when they talk to you about niching down, this is real. The more oddly specific your piece of content is, the more it will resonate, and the more that they are going to connect with you to essentially work with you, right? Because it's like, you know what they're dealing with, right? So they want to reach out with you. Okay, so BlissBot is going to be, okay, so my goal is for her to be available the next week. So Nicole asked this on YouTube. So BlissBot, I wish I had like a little image of her that I could bring up, but essentially a lot of the things in my business, I have been using AI to do that, specifically ChatGPT. And so I'm essentially packaging all of this into BlissBot, or Bliss AI, whatever. I don't know what we're calling her. And she's going to be available to my community members. So if you're here and you're interested in joining an inclusive, safe environment for Black women who are working on their bliss, working on, enjoying their career, loving what they do, this is going to help you kind of get clear on moving forward. It's going to help you with the like tactical pieces, like writing your resume or your business plan. And so I'm designing that based on my entire Black Woman Bliss blueprint, or my framework, which is what I'm sharing in the webinar. And it's also going to be an entire training catalog in my community. So if you're interested in learning more about Bliss AI, you can either join me for the webinar, or you can just join me directly in the community. Okay. All right. So let's go. Thank you for asking, Nicole. She's going to be here soon. In the next week, I'm hoping to get her all finalized. Yeah, I've written out all of the things that she'll be doing. And so I'll be putting it all together this weekend. But like all of the things and the prompts are like things that I'm already using. So it just needs to get all consolidated. Okay. Woo. Number 2 is product design. So I've gone through a lot of different products. Ooh. Sorry. I've gone through a lot of different products, a lot of different product designs, things that really work, didn't work. And again, this is all about messaging, but it is also listening to your client, listening to what's going on, right? And when we talk about this, like I did not know who my ideal client was. I didn't know how best to serve them. I didn't know what was going on or to what was moving forward best for them. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it was much harder for me to build a product that was compelling or that would actually help them based on where they were in their business, right? So as a result, those things didn't sell, right? So listen to how much I'm saying listen in this, right? Because a lot of us will say, oh, we don't know what to do. Nothing's working in my business. But it's like, okay, but are you listening? Are you listening to your clients? Are you talking to your clients, first of all? Like whether or not they're your current clients or somebody that could be a potential client, like having some one-on-one calls with those people or engaging conversations with them, whether or not it's like a one-on-one call, whatever it is, it's going to help. So when I first started my career coaching business, I did several courses. So I did a networking course, and then I did a resume course. There was another course. I don't know. There were a couple different courses. But the first one that was really ramping and scaling was my resume writing course. I called it the Resume Roadmap. It had all the branding. It had, I did everything fully, like a full launch, webinars, all of that kind of stuff. Like I was really going in. And I was at a place, and that's how I ended up 10K in business debt. Hi, Hello, how are you? Welcome to the live. But yeah, so that's how I ended up in 10K of business debt because I was trying to make it work. It was still early in my business, so I really did not have an audience. Today I definitely have, it's small, right? But it's definitely an audience. And so or a platform. So, right. So I expect that when I post something, like it's going to get some good engagement. But because I was still small at the time, I actually just figured my lack of success was not due to the course or my marketing. I just thought it was like I wasn't in front of enough people. It's kind of both because it's like, okay, you're not in front of enough people because your marketing isn't working and it's hard to grow on the platforms that you're growing on, but you don't have a way to connect. So anyway, all of that being said, like figure out a way to connect with your market before you start investing in a lot of fancy systems, softwares, or whatever to like get that message out there. I'm doing good, Tamara. How are you? I hope you're doing well. You've been a little bit missing, but I hope all is okay with you and family. Yeah. Okay. So essentially, like so at the time when I was doing this, I started a webinar that I would like kind of like right now. I had a webinar running. Some of it was live, some of it was like pre-recorded, like automated webinars. And I was having people join. I was running ads from that. Now, did I absolutely have people that joined and purchase the course and whatever? Absolutely. But I feel like I didn't really have a compelling offer and it didn't really make sense for my audience and how I was moving all of those things. So you heard me say like the messaging wasn't quite right for millennials in my audience, right? And so because of that, like I was not breaking even on the ad spend. I wasn't able to upsell those people into other things. Like it just was like a churn of spending money on ads. And once even I would stop the ads to like do something else, it was hard to get other ways for me to earn money by like conventional organic marketing. I shouldn't say conventional marketing because it's not conventional, but organic social media, digital marketing. And so every single month, all of my subscriptions for my business that I was paying for to hopefully make this work, like where I was hosting my course and how I was hosting the webinar and everything like that was just draining money. And then I had paid for some courses and everything else like that. Right. And so the interesting thing here, so I guess my piece of advice for you, like if you are in a place where you do want to do digital marketing or digital courses, I would recommend like really having enough conversations. Like, I mean, one-on-one conversations doesn't mean you have to sell them services. Like, if you just want to offer some free clarity chats to people or like some, like, depending on whatever your service is, like some type of conversation where you can actually get a sense of what their needs are, whether you're selling something or not, is honestly what I would do. Now, a lot of times the problem with this model, right, is when I was earlier on, I had been asking people about what they wanted, and they were not my ideal clients, and they were also not people that were actually realistically going to pay me for that. Like, you probably need to try and figure out, like, if you position it as I'm talking to people that I would sell something to or that are interested in buying from me, I feel like the advice that you give and what they tell you that they want is going to be much more aligned because they are a buyer versus somebody who's just like generally in your audience or even a family friend or something because they're not the people that are buying from you. And so that's something that is a challenge to kind of build your products or your services around that from somebody who is not actually your ideal client, right? So that's something that's important. Like, and I didn't figure out who my true ideal client was until I had many clarity chats. I think I've had well over 500 clarity chats. I think when I last pulled the numbers last year, I think I was at 300. So I definitely have to be over 500 now. And so that's a lot of conversations with a lot of my ideal clients, which is why I'm very, very clear on what they need and why they need it. Okay. Moving on. So when I first launched this, like I said, my resume courses, they weren't doing well. It was because I was running a lot of ads that were not effective. And then after a while, I started to say, okay, let me kind of repackage this into something that's, a little bit more affordable on a monthly basis. Like people don't want to invest in a big course. Now that's absolutely a limiting belief. Like people will invest in what they think they need to invest in and like why it's important to them based on what their goals are all of the different things. So that's definitely a limiting belief. Don't think that high price courses don't work. They do. But it was just like something that was a challenge for me. So I converted into having a membership. So I created the Black Professionals membership. I was doing a lot of promo, a lot of webinars, a lot of events. I think I even did a 4-video launch or something like that. And I definitely had more people purchase, which is like ultimately, again, we're all on a journey. But again, it was mostly for Black women, but it wasn't branded for Black women. Sorry. Most of my clients who were signing up were for Black women, but then they weren't converting as highly because it wasn't really targeted at Black women. So then it wasn't as effective. Hello, purpose-minded woman. Well, welcome to the live. And so anyway, there's just a conglomeration of different issues in that. But what I'm saying is that I went through all of this process of trying to figure out what product would work. And then once after that membership, I started talking to Black women, then I was better able to define what was needed. So there were 2 things that I determined that was needed. It's okay. I go live every weekday at 6 p.m. unless I have a webinar. Last week took me out because lady problems. Okay. I'm just being honest with y'all. I was like, I need to go to sleep. My body said, sit down, girl. And it was like, no, Mother Nature will have you out here struggling for no reason. But welcome into the live. Okay. If you hear me, you feel me with that, put amen. Put Mother Nature, amen in the comments. Just kidding. Let me stop messing with y'all. Okay. So after I started talking to my ideal clients, I realized that there were 2 things that I could do to really build my business, which was better understanding how to package my services, right? So one of the things I had going wrong was people, well, I mean, this is in general, right? But it's not always true, right? Like a lot of my clients, they did want to have one-on-one services, right? And so I was better able to package like a resume, whereas before I kind of had more of this like monthly coaching scenario, and that was kind of challenging because people were like, well, when does it end? I don't know like what to do about that. Thanks for the rose. And it wasn't a compelling offer. And so anyway, so then I started to say, okay, like how am I packaging sessions? I'm creating unique packages for each of my clients. And after I figured out what each of those packages were, I put them into bundles. And you heard me earlier when I said sometimes it is not the product, it is how you're packaging. Oh, look at that. It's a little heart. You can't see. I just look wild on YouTube and LinkedIn. Thank you for the heart. It was very cute. But yeah, so I wasn't packaging those effectively, right? That's not what my market wanted to buy before. The monthly, coaching subscription where it was a higher price each month just didn't make any sense to them. They're like, where is the plan, right? So in reality, what really worked out was either doing a structured program or a structured bundle. And that felt like a compelling offer, but I also wasn't just talking about it because I was talking to them about it on a call in a structured way. I was able to make an intersection with whatever their challenge was, right? So if they felt like they weren't feeling confident, then I was going to be able to talk about how this branding process helps them feel confident and shifts their mindset. If they just thought their resume was old and outdated, I was able to say like, hey, this is how you get a really market aligned resume, because I'm talking to them, right? And so now I can efficiently, hey, Jody, welcome into the live. So now I can more effectively really like talk about that particular service in a better way that better aligns with my audience. It resonated more, means that I had a higher conversion rate. All of these things are connected. Okay. Let me know if you all have any questions. Isn't this cup cute? Here, I'm gonna put it over here first. And then it says boss lady on it. Who bought, is this my mom's cup? I think this is my mom's cup and she didn't want it. Am I gonna get my mom in trouble for drinking out of it? Thanks for the likes. Not you saying gorgeous and you didn't want it. I think I got this from you. Okay, so anyway, let me know if you all have any questions as we go. Okay, before I go on to the next section, I'm going to be talking about revenue generating activities as a way to help to scale your business. But really gorgeous at my house, not yours. You have enough cups. It is gorgeous at my house. It really matches my cute girl boss aesthetic. It's not pink and gold, or brown and gold, but that's okay. It's still very cute. Okay, so before we go into revenue generating activities, if you are just joining me and you have not heard about Black Woman Bliss, it is my framework that I help Black women with to pursue a career in business that they love by really understanding and monetizing their Black woman brilliance. So if you are on TikTok, you can go to the link in my profile to sign up for my free webinar. The last one that is live is happening on Wednesday. If you are on TikTok, or excuse me, if you are on YouTube, I'm looking over here because you're in different spaces. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, you can go to the link in my description and sign up. And if you're like, girl, I don't want to attend a webinar. I want the resources. I want the training. Thank you for the gifts. These are nice. You can sign up for my Career Love community as well. The link is in my profile. All right, cool. Okay, let's go. So revenue generating activities. So revenue generating activities in your business are things that you do directly that will increase your revenue. That is it. Okay. The problem with revenue generating activities is that sometimes you don't know what those are. Okay. And so a lot of times we really have to think about what are we doing in our business and what actually leads to more revenue, right? So sometimes we don't know what those are because we aren't figuring out ways to measure that. That's very typical. So what I mean by that is we have to kind of set like key performance indicators. We have to set metrics. We have to see things that we're looking at, right? Like we will do metrics for our employer, we will do metrics at work, but we won't have metrics for our own business and figuring out what is successful, right? So for instance, I know that right now the way to increase my income as much as I possibly can in a quick way is to get on Clarity Chats. How many people can I get on a Clarity Chat this week? Right now, I don't typically operate on my business in that way because it just kind of feels weird to me. But at the end of the day, I know how much revenue I make each month is directly related to Clarity Chats. How do I get Clarity Chats? Posting on social media. There were a lot of other things that I could do, sending out emails, asking for referrals. I, I don't know, not on Facebook. So certain social medias, right? It's not Facebook, it's not Instagram. I get Clarity Chats by posting on YouTube, posting on TikTok, and posting on LinkedIn. Those are the things that automatically help me to get to in front of my clients on a call, which is a revenue generating activity, right? The other thing that is a revenue generating activity is to follow up with people who I've spoken to in the past, right? So I have a schedule where I say, okay, I talked to these 10 ladies this past week. I'm going to follow up with them, see how things are going. Follow up with them and ask them if they need any support, if they're still looking forward to do coaching or not, blah, blah, blah. That's another one. Okay, that's the majority of it for also for past clients too, but I don't do that as much because I check in with clients, but that also is a revenue generating activity because I reach out to them and they're like, oh, I would like to do another call and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's the majority. I'll talk about some other things later that are also revenue generating activities, but like that's the big one. So how did I figure that out? How did I figure out that that was really what I needed to do? Right. I had to go back and look at things like, okay, where are people coming in? If they're coming to my website and they're booking a call, where are they coming from? Oh, thank you. I did my live goal. Yay. It made a cute little sound. Oh, it's, I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry, I'm distracted because it's making noises. Thank you for all the heart puffs. Thank you for helping me reach my live goal. Hey, mystery lady, welcome to the live. Okay, so in that case, right? So one of the things that I started doing that I figured out that the platforms that actually worked was that I started putting information into my Clarity Chats for people to tell me where they found me at, right? So now at this point, I know who's coming from Facebook, who's coming from LinkedIn, who's coming from YouTube. Now I just didn't put those all. I put all of the platforms. The new one that's emerging for me is actually search engine optimization, which is new. I have one page on my website, one blog, that is search engine optimized. And a bunch of people like literally will sit here and Google Black career coach for Black women, and they will find me that way and they will schedule a call. And they're very serious because they are specifically looking for a coach and they found me. So there is actually, I think that's probably the highest conversion rate of all of these platforms actually is somebody who found me by looking up career coach for Black women. That's wild from one website. Anyway, and so Anyway, so that probably tells me what would be a potentially other revenue generating activity, going to set up more websites or pages that specifically are keywords that Black women would be looking for. Okay. So yeah, how do I identify this? I set up some questions in however I was talking to people, or you could ask them directly, figure out where they're coming from. Then you can start to implement things like, I'm going to talk to those people in that way. I'm going to, make sure that those platforms that I'm finding work best is what I'm focusing on. And then I'm going to see, okay, after I know that, I get them on a clarity chat. I know out of all of the other places that I do things, like whether I'm sending out an email or I'm just making a post about joining my program, or I'm sending it through maybe I'm doing ads or whatever else, like all of those different things. But I know at the end of the day, when I looked at the numbers, my highest conversion rate and the amount of money that I made was based on this one activity, which is a clarity chat. Okay. Now, for other things, like let's say if you have a digital product, my digital products will better sell via email than they will via like a social media post. What is it? Don't know. Like figuring that out, it's not my focus. I might have lost connection. Lost connection. I'm waiting for it to come back. Okay. I don't know if I'm still there. Am I still there? Okay. Sorry if I left, and sorry for you. Hey Nisha, welcome into the live. I think I lost a bunch of people. Hopefully you all come back. But yeah, generating revenue generating activities is definitely something that's going to help. So when I'm telling you I moved from 10K in debt to the profit, again, understanding more about what I needed to do. Yeah, I noticed that I'm dropping. Internet has been really bad today. Yeah, so when I noticed that those revenue generating activities were really working, what was working and leaning into those more, I was better able to spend my time in the right places in my business, right? So if you don't know what your revenue generating activities are, you're likely going to spend your energy in places that they don't need to be, and you're not going to see the success because you're kind of spinning your wheels going in the wrong direction. Spinning your wheels, you could be spinning your wheels, or you could be just driving in the wrong direction. Either way, that's not helping you grow and increase your income in your business by focusing on the things that are working, right? And then that also means like don't be like extremely connected to the things that aren't working, right? Like a lot of times we just try and make things work. When I was talking about that resume course, like I was just really trying to get it to work over and over again. Like it wasn't right. It wasn't going to be helpful. Okay. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about is metrics, and then of course I'm going to go to Q&A. So if you all have any questions or thoughts that you have, whether you're watching now or later, you can absolutely let me know. But for me right now, I'm actually going to go ahead and bring up my like business metrics page so I can talk about some of the things. I probably should have done that before, but I do have a business metrics page in Notion. Yeah, everything's in Notion. Your girl is a Notion girly. If I can't stress that enough, that Notion is an amazing platform that everybody can use or should use. I don't know. I'm not saying everybody should use, but I love Notion. Okay. So right now I have a business metrics dashboard. Essentially, all of my information is moving over from places like Kajabi. I'm using things like Zapier, my payment processors like Stripe. Um, yeah, all of my opt-ins to my email list are coming over. So I really have at a bird's eye view, like what's going on in my business. So if I go right now, I'm looking at it right now. I look at my business dashboard right now. I know my total sales this month. I know how much I need from where I am right now to whatever my business goal is, my sales goal for revenue each month, like at a glance. I know that based on my conversion rates, how much of what I would need to sell each month. So for instance, each month on average, 20% or 30% of my business revenue is coaching calls. I know whether or not I'm on target for that right now, like what I need to do to close that gap to reach my business goal, right? It doesn't mean that I'm always able to do that every single month. Like a lot of times I'm off because my goal is like a stretch goal. It's for me to move forward. But at the end of the day, I know how many calls I would need to get on, like how many clarity chats, how many emails I might need to send, how many people I might need to reach out to, right? In order to meet those sales goals. Like I said, I don't do it every month. I don't want this to seem like, oh my gosh, she has it like all together, because I don't. I'm just saying I know where the data is and I have the data. Okay. And I can make decisions based on the data. Okay. And then that also means that I know, like, if my greatest, like, return on investment for effort, right, is going to be a certain type of goal, then I'm going to go for that. For instance, like I said, I know that me getting on Clarity Chat is going to be the biggest difference in revenue growth in a particular month, right? So I'm going to focus on that more so than I am about focusing on selling my resume template, right? Numbers. Okay. I have all this data in here back from 2022. Okay. I didn't have all this data in Notion in 2022. I had some of it that I was kind of tracking, but essentially back to 2022 is when I started to pull all of that data and centralize it so that I could see things over time. So now I know, like, what time of year people are more likely to buy. What are they more likely to buy in a particular time of the year? Now, I haven't really tapped into all of that metrics and data, but it's there because when I get there, it's going to be good. It's going to be helpful. Okay, so then I'm going to quickly look at my conversion rate. So right now I know that on average, my conversion rate for any, like, given lead, so anybody that comes into my orbit, um, not just like opting into my email list, like, I engage with them, I talk with them, they got entered in my customer relations management software. It's about a 14% engagement rate of them, or conversion rate of them spending money with me in some way, shape, or form. Then I also have a conversion rate for my programs, my bundles, one-time coaching calls, and people who are joining the community. By the way, if you want to join my community, you can do that right now. You can join my community to kind of learn more about my process, what I'm working with, how I'm doing these things, okay, at a higher level with support, step by step. Okay. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Did y'all hear that? That sound is terrible. Thanks for the likes. Okay. Last thing on here, let me go see. Okay, the last thing that I really love about this is that I can also see. No, I am not showing y'all all my business data. I am looking at it and telling you what I'm showing you, but no, I'm not that transparent. Maybe later. I'm not ready to be showing y'all what my business metrics are. But in terms of, like, I do have graphs and things like that. Maybe I'll put some dummy data and show, like, what it looks like. But essentially, like, I can see all of this data right now at a glance. And then the other thing that I have that is really cool is that, like, I have a cumulative data for, like, all time. So essentially I can look back at all of my purchases from the beginning of my business. Well, the beginning of when I started tracking this in 2022. And I can see, I know, yeah, you're laughing at me. No, it's not saying, I'll show you later. No, not her saying, show us. No. I will show my mastermind group. Y'all can see that. My mastermind group can see this. Okay. So but anyway, I'm seeing the cumulative number of, like, what I sold in each product line in my business. So I can tell you, like, my most lucrative I guess product in my business is basically my coaching program, my 3-month coaching program, and my mentoring. Okay, cool. And then the last thing that I have on here is all of my leads. So I know how many people I've spoken to, how many people are active leads, how many are in what stage. Like, for instance, I just talked to them, how many people, oh my gosh, that's wild. I think I've talked to like 56 people this year. The year just started. That's wild, actually, now that I look at it. That's why you should have your data. Anyway, so I have all my data, like where all my leads are, like whether somebody said they were enrolling, how many active clients I have, how many inactive clients, like former clients I have. All of this is in this dashboard. And then at the end, I have my opt-in. So I can tell how many people opted in, what they opted in, like what was most interesting right now. The Black Woman Approved Workplaces is doing its thing. People are very excited and engaged to get that resource. And so I can tell, like, that's the bulk of my opt-in. So it tells me that's probably something I want to invest more time into marketing. Cool. And then I also have my social media metrics, which I'm not as good as updating because it's very tedious. But essentially, I have my growth of followers and I have my, like, number of engagements, number of new followers, how many, like, what the total count was. And also at some point I'm going to look to connect, like, essentially, I don't have it right now, but like how many people, like how many impressions I had on a particular platform and how many people that led to scheduling a call. Like, is there a connection between how many impressions I have or what type of content I have each month and how that ultimately relates to more people getting on my phone or not? Okay, I know you're not seeing the data. Y'all ain't calling me out. Okay, when I clean it up, I might do a full walkthrough. But like I do have all my financial data on there, and I do tell y'all how I went from 10K to debt. And I do say that like based on my previous months, I have doubled my income in February. But I'm not sure I feel comfortable putting my like monthly revenue out there yet. So we'll see. But yeah, that is the last piece. I just wanted to give you a better sense of like what metrics you can use and things like that. And also sorry for the internet issues. Okay, so in close, we have about 10 minutes left of this stream. If you have any questions for me, let me know. I always like to end with a challenge. So I would say, if you're here today, you're leaving this call, you want to do one thing better, I would say write down what you feel like your revenue generating activities are today, or maybe what they should be or would be, right? So if you have a new business, then figure out like, okay, what is it that is going to help me sell? Not the boo. Not you booing me. Rude. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I would say get your revenue generating activities together, write what those might be, right? So if you know that your clients, you're most connected with them by sending emails, maybe you're a person that does, direct marketing, like you reach out to people, then, or you do cold calls, whatever, you do ads, all of the above, right? Like what is actually most successful and how can you like make those processes more efficient? How can you communicate to your audience in a more clear way? Those are all of the things we've talked about today. Woo! Okay. So all of that being said, I don't see any questions. I'll look at the chat really hard later, as right before I get off to find out if you all have any questions. But always know I'm so thankful for this time and this opportunity to connect with you all. I hope that you found it super helpful. I love doing more. I love these live streams. I will continue to do them at 6 on weekdays unless Mother Nature decides otherwise. And I will see you next time. Tomorrow, we are talking about the toxic job search cycle. So I did do another live where I talked about like how we get into this toxic job search cycle, but I'm going to be talking about it from a different standpoint of really just talking about how you can break that cycle by really examining like your behaviors, examining like what experiences you're having to really pull those out, and then ultimately to create some job search standards and how you can really screen your next employer for that. Again, I know we talked about some of that, but I'm doing it from just a slightly different angle. But all of that being said, I hope you enjoyed this live. If you are watching this later, make sure you like it, make sure you share it, make sure you follow for more. And also, if you haven't already, I would highly recommend you come prepared for my Black Woman Bliss webinar. The last one is on this Wednesday. I am talking about, so on the webinar, I'm talking about how to find your Black Woman Bliss. So essentially, if you're not feeling clear about where you should be moving or doing in your career, I'm going to be talking about how to get clear on that. I'm also going to be talking about how you can really use that understanding of what your Black Woman Bliss is to create better alignment in your career and your business. That's some of what I talked about today, right? Having better alignment ultimately leads you to have better success in building your career and your business. Hey, Formosa. Hey, girly. And then ultimately at the end of that webinar, I am going to be teaching you all of the things that you can do in order to really scale that, right? So understanding how to make an exit plan so that you can move on to your next career, how to build a business and kind of create a business plan so that you can move forward. Hey, thanks for the hearts. So all of that being said, I really hope that I see you at the webinar. If you are on TikTok, you can go to the link in my profile to sign up. And if you are on YouTube or LinkedIn, there is a link in the comments or in the description for you to join me there. I'll see you there. It is absolutely free. But if you're like, girl, I do not need a webinar. I already know that I want a step-by-step process to do this. I want the training portal. I want the community of other Black women. Then you can go ahead and join me directly in my Career Love community. You can join in the exact same place. Okay. All right. Well, I will see you all later. Much love. I was so excited and grateful to do this live stream, and I will see you tomorrow for ending the toxic job search cycle. Okay, bye. Whoopsies, all the buttons. Where are the buttons?